Hello, everybody. Just give me a second. We're gonna get the show rolling in a second. No time today. We're late as always. So it feels recently I've been late a couple of times. So just bear with me. I'm gonna get everything here prepped so I can continue with the show proper, see the chat and everything, and we are gonna go into it. Hello, Mr. Awesome, a stripping Q, looking like good play now. Welcome, folks. Like and subscribe. Absolutely stonks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Mr. Awesome, don't go jumping into conclusions all that quickly. You wait, be patient. Hello, Leo. Hello, Bedwars Gang. Deborah. Hello, everybody. Johnny. Hello, hello, hello. And I think, yeah, just before I forget, real quick reminder, patreon.com/investor so you can join us on the Discord on a daily basis. And before I forget, the normal main screen, so we're not gonna have mishaps like before. Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, Shazam. Hello. Alrighty, boys and girls, let's get into this. Quite an eventful day, and at the same time, questionable. At the moment, we haven't really closed any important gaps, really, other than maybe the leftover of this one, the one we have between the 17th and the 21st, but it's a bit of a leftover, so nothing all that substantial. We have opened up a very big gap, which most of you understand we don't really like, because given the fact of the matter that we're still within the range of that gap potentially getting closed, so that means the price action will be actually adverse to what I would like to have or would like to see. And so now we're basically stuck with a really big chore. It's not unheard of nor so weird that we will end up closing this, although given that it was roughly around 100 and some dollars, still definitely possible, but we will look at what the technicals are saying, whether that's in the cards. Another thing, of course, I've mentioned before was the 6,000 that will probably get retested again and again and again. And here we are retesting 6,000, so not a big surprise. Those who were yesterday on the hangout when we spoke about SoFi, at least I hope some of you, partially at least, I hope were pleasantly surprised to see. In fact, here we go. This is that improvised line to where we said it's going to go. As you can see, that's the bottom of that channel. Of course, we expected some slippage. There was some slippage, but all in all, we got it roughly right. Also, that black line is basically the channel. I think it was the 1 hourly internal channel, which we had. Now I'm not so sure. With 45 minutes. One of the smaller time frames, we had that support from there, and so we've expected that to be tested, and now you can see perfectly works whatever it was, which now I'm confused whether it was 4 hours short term or what was it. We can go to the video and actually see what it was to be absolutely certain. But yeah, we kind of got what we've expected. Again, this is not yet indicative of a full-on breakdown. In fact, I would probably argue that you're going to retest that 1625 probably again before a complete breakdown. So there's plenty of time and plenty of price action ahead. Let's get back to the SPX because that's what we're here to cover. That's the most important bit. Pardon me for my voice. It's really, really at the edge of things, if you will. 1 minute is kind of negligible. I think we can skip it. Yeah, that price action kept us kind of going sideways throughout the day. We tried to pick it back up, and then we've consolidated several times. So really, we ended up doing nothing today, other than that gap which took us downwards and still can definitely be closed. We will have to see a significant drop before we consider it to be closed. For the time being, what are we seeing? 5 minutes. I would argue that since it's that close to 50 and very bullish, and given how the current trend is set up, at least the shorter range one, I would argue that this longer duration trend is a bit too far for us, especially for the structure as is, but 6,036 is definitely not out of bounds. So basically the 5 minutes is implying a potential retest of that 6,036. Then we'll see, or at least for now we'll see what the larger time frames are saying about things. We can, amusingly enough, that wasn't actually the 50 line, that was something else, but it was crossing right when where I needed it to cross. But yeah, let's put back our 50 as we like to have that. Okay, just to have an idea where the threshold is. Actually, I thought that was the 50 line, just said there perfectly. Currently we're testing this median, we can see, right? That kind of makes sense. We're at the bottom of the channel, and it appears to be that momentum is picking back up, nearing 50. So that definitely confirms the potential of retest of 6,036 in the near-term future. Voice too much celebrating? Not at all. I mean, you guys know it's been this way for the last 3 days or so. So come on. If I want to turn up and hear about the crash from Greg to say it's nothing burger. I mean, right now it is a nothing burger. For right now, it looks very painful and it looks very indicative of a beginning of a correction, but it's not necessarily the case. We still have a lot of time still ahead of us, at least so the market shows, right? That's what we saw. Let's look again. Let's see what we can see. 30 minutes definitely confirms that we can make it to 6,036.57. 45 minutes works well with that resistance, by the way. If you can see, although we're not that bullish yet on the 45 minutes, but momentum is starting to pick back up. Here it is. We can see we're bullish dominant. We're curving back up right now. Again, still in oversold territory, so let's take it with a grain of salt. But of course, we're paying attention. Could be that this will move above the 20 range and give us more bullish momentum, confirming the retest that I just said with around the 6,036 and conveniently the bottom of the channel that we've just slipped out of. So I'm not going to be all that surprised, which just readjusted in front of our face. So I'm not going to be all that surprised if that junction between the two forces will get retested. Of course, that makes sense with the excessive price action that we had today, taking it below the trend. The trend just readjusted. That actually makes a lot of sense. Let's see where the wider one goes. Yes, it's absolutely flat still, conveniently right below where we're at right now. So basically, we're almost stuck between two wedges, if you will, because we are basically being stuck with this line. Okay, let me just remove some of these so it'll be easier to see maybe. Got carried away with all the lines and stuff. Why is it not deleting anything? What's going on? What's too narrow? Too okay, cool. So right now it appears to be that what the market is doing is we're stuck between this resistance / support line and basically stuck within this wedge. But what I'll argue that this momentum indicates is that we're going to move into this wedge. So we're going to be stuck between these two wedges, if you will, these two triangles, right? We're going to be stuck moving right now into this one. So it appears based upon this momentum. And let's try to confirm that on a 1 hourly. 1 hourly confirms. Definitely looks very bullish, about to penetrate the 20 range. In fact, we see it right now sits at about 19.1. Of course, the D is though quite low, 1488. But given the momentum will pick up, it's going to be rather rapid. So we might see tomorrow at least a partial close of the gap, at least partial. This momentum definitely is indicative of a bullish momentum. So 6,036.57. Could be even more, could be higher, we could even drag out to close the entire gap, but right now it's definitely turning to be a little bit more bullish. Let's confirm that on higher time frames. That's where things start becoming a little bit more sketchy. On the 4 hours, which is basically also very similar to the daily chart, although again we're not having here pre and post market, so we cannot see that price action. But this is very bearish. This is still very, very bearish. In fact, the divergence between the forces is very indicative that we're accelerating and we're moving closer to the 50 range. Once penetrated, this trend will accelerate. So what do we conclude? Even if tomorrow, in the beginning of trading, we will have, or even throughout the night or at night, we're going to have the price action closing and moving within the framework of this gap, we might end up opening tomorrow's price action, tomorrow's session basically, at a level of 6,036 or even maybe above it, and then via the movement downwards ending up with a smaller gap, right? So basically opening, right? Open, just an example, I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying that that's just an example. So an open that is higher into the gap and then a breakdown internally, or maybe if momentum will be strong enough, an open, a continuation of the closure of the gap, and then a drop back down. Because this a lot more indicative that the end of the outcome of tomorrow's session, if does not overturn via the bullish momentum, then even if we're going to have some bullish momentum, that will allow the closure of the gap, which we saw in the smaller time frames, will allow just a convergence divergence process right here, a retest. And then we have to ask ourselves, does that retest mean, again, a continuation to the upside or a continuation to the downside? So let's try and observe what it is that we can see on the larger time frames and see what the indication says. Well, hopefully today. Let's see what the chat says in the time being that I'm not missing. Can you look at Tesla, please? Of course, Bedwars. We will look at Tesla, Palantir. We try to do the usual suspects and see what's going on. Sure, yeah, that's that writing that I did that we can remove that. We definitely don't need that. What else? So this is not all that great. That actually allows the bullish momentum that we saw to play out to move upwards, or as I've presented, potentially opening inside the gap and then closing at least a part of it. But overall, it is starting to look gloomy for the daily chart. For the SPX, and so subsequently the entire market. Does that mean necessarily that's it, we're breaking down on its pain from here on out? No, not necessarily. What we are seeing is a convergence divergence again of the forces. Right now the D is dominant, basically the bearish momentum is far more dominant, and if we'll continue keeping it so, bringing us below the 80 range, we will see an acceleration of the downtrend, leaving either a partial gap right here or maybe an entire gap. We'll see. It doesn't mean that this gap will not get closed. What could happen, by the way, just to sort of point out a potential scenario, is that we're going to move down to the bottom of this channel roughly at around 5,800, some similar to what we've done before, and then correct back up to that median, giving us again a closure of that gap and retesting roughly these same highs that we've tested before, giving us this very, very flat almost ceiling that we're not able to penetrate. That's a potential move. Although let's confirm and see again, as we normally do, what we see on the various time frames. So this at face value is bullish, which definitely indicates and confirms the closure of at least movement to 6,036, potentially even higher. I would argue that this movement as a structure potentially could be indicating 6,070 even. But I would also point out, you can notice the convergence of the forces. Again, they have not yet converged, but once the D, the red line, takes dominance, the price action becomes a lot more bearish. And before we penetrate the 50 range, I would not celebrate and say that's it, from here on out it's an upwards trend and everything is fine and everything is resolved. In fact, as long as we remain below the 50 range, if we'll have that convergence process happen right here and turn back around, what we will see is a partial correction with a far more lasting downwards trend, which can lead to a retest of this bottom channel, as we said, 5,900, 5,800-ish. That vicinity. We see basically confirmation, potential confirmation for that. We definitely see the worrying signs. Let me just remove that beautiful thing so we can clearly see what's going on. And the monthly has been yelling at us and warning us that a potential deeper correction is inbound. Basically, we've had a very prolonged process of retesting and moving through this sort of wave, individual wave, which had three individual impulses. Those who know understand that this is very indicative of If you can see, for example, just the last time we've been exactly in the same trend, what happened to happen is that we ended up testing that very same trend for 3 entire months, and coincidentally right now we're testing it for the 3rd month, and we're already starting to see some exhaustion starting to show up in the framework. Again, it might not necessarily be that from here on out we're done. We could still retest this for at least a couple more months easily before actually starting the correction to the downside. But right now we can argue that it is somewhat indicative of a potential correction. More so, we're seeing that very tool that we like to use, the stochastic RSI, pointing right now to the downside, the D being dominant, the bearish momentum, if you will, that represented by the red line. The green line represents bullish dominance, right? So bullish momentum, positive upwards momentum, and vice versa. So basically here we have that red and bearish and downwards pressure. For a little, from waiting for title to change back to market crash. Michalis, what you need to understand that we've gone into this process fairly early on. If you look back, you realize that the time we were talking about, I started giving this title, was roughly around here when we already started meeting that resistance. Of course, in the community we were talking about and acknowledging that a crash is inbound, and what you guys are seeing right now as a crash, or some people are referring to, it's a nothing burger. It is just the potential beginning of. So right now what we're saying is really not indicative of anything. In fact, we're very tame with our emotions, and we absolutely understand how this can correct and retest the 6100 levels 20 more times before we even see a true glimpse of a correction to the downside. But we definitely are looking at the worrying signs, and we've been seeing them all along. I guess you don't want me to tell you one day before I recognize before the potential drop that I by the way, I've recognized the correction 4 months ago. Go ahead and believe me, right? So yes, I will point it out as soon as I can see it, and whoever takes advantage of that, good for them, right? Remember, this is not financial advice. Whoever doesn't, it's up to them. I said something very simple just recently in one of the lives. I don't care for people disagreeing with me. I just hope that the disrespect will be as loud. The apology and the respect will be as loud as the disrespect was right now. That's all I'm saying. Afterwards, I'm not even gonna, my voice is too tired to even waste energy on that one. All right. So, we know we don't have really any reason to look at higher time frames since they have not yet readjusted. We haven't really yet closed the first ones properly, which we are getting closer and closer to, which is pretty good because we're going to soon be able to see the outcome, the adjustment of this first month and how it will basically lock in, and potentially the adjustment of the subsequent larger time frames, potentially depending on how low or high will we close. We're basically literally 1, 2, 3, 4 sessions away from the end of the month, which I don't think we have any holidays or any market holidays at least. And so I think that's what we have left until the market will close that month, and we'll be able to see really how that will affect our view on things. So yeah, 4 days. Let's look at the assets. I think that's kind of what we need to do. Let's see what's going on. Tesla. Quite interesting, actually. At the end of the day, what it did here is drop to the very same channel that we've ended up testing right here. Just several weeks ago we said, that's the new channel, we're going to be moving. I think the hourly is also very similar. Yeah, that's the hourly, more accurate, of course. Has a better average and subsequently sees the linear regression channel a lot more efficiently. Here we have the confirmation of this channel, various tests of the levels, more so, right? Even in the beginning as we went in, we're probably going to find this. Yeah, that's not all that surprising. This very same channel. Can we even go that far? Will it allow us? That will be cool if it will allow us to go that far. That'll be like really cool. I'd love it. Let's see. I mean, what am I? 1 hour, so potentially. Come on. Come on. You know we can do it. Come on. That's the split. Just a little more. Come on. Some of you know what I'm trying to get here. No, 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 no. Shame on them. Shame on them. Trying to sell a plan for 15 more. Here it actually might matter. Here I might see it. Hey, Christoph. Hi. What's up? Good to see you. Anyway, yeah, so that's a long-lasting channel. That was my main point that I wanted to point out, but we can really see for how long this very same channel. And we are now just touching it again. So now we're actually within the channel, which is amusing because prior it was right, it was the ceiling. So now it's the first time in a long, long time that we're actually in the channel. Amusing enough, or actually it could be that we moved along and now that's the channel that is a bit to the right. Now we were actually originally in the channel that was right adjacent to here, which I cannot see right now anymore. That's why we say, you know, save the data, save the data, boys and girls, so you'll never be confused. What does Tesla say? Tesla says it's trying to pick back up. Obviously, this is it's trying to at least move back up, maybe into that median, and I mean maybe to retest that gap resistance that it had here originally somewhere. I imagine my line being a little bit more accurate, so I'm not going to be surprised if that's the case. Maybe even a retest of 410. Moving, that's difficult because, well, yeah, that's really far, I would argue. For that, no, but it can do it. It's not that far. You know what? I take it back. It can do that since, yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, can be done. So tomorrow, yeah, absolutely. You know what? So yeah, I can see how it can retest that 414 and the range, basically that range, that range that you see right here. In fact, let me remove that so you can see the range being tested before. Here it is. It's that very same range between 414, 410. That is very much a possibility, and subsequently retesting that junction of the ceiling, the resistance of the shorter range channel that we're working our way within. Short, it's not so short. This is actually very bullish. The way this appears to behave, let me see. Yeah, this would have been just a little bit more bullish. I would have been able to confirm. Okay, so at first glance, this actually made me think you might be able to move back to 430. That appears 429, whatever that is. Giving you know, this is gonna take roughly about a week or week or so, right? It can vary, but just move up, get stuck, then move up. So still giving you that 426, 27, 28 maybe range with some slippage. So definitely a possibility still, by the way, definitely still a possibility. But even if that is the case, this is where the daily sort of chimes in, and it's already below the 50, already racing its way towards the oversold area and the stochastic RSI. So if it reaches that roughly within that week time that you complete this process, then it overturns, even if you're going to have convergence, divergence retests here, and then basically it continues to the end, to the bottom, which now appears to be roughly at around where that bottom of the channel is. I'm not going to be surprised that right now it's testing off to the side right here, the very same channel that if you just take it a couple more candlesticks to where we are right now, coincidentally, that's going to be exactly that, the bottom of the channel. We have that bearish momentum confirming it. So I would argue that you're probably going to be testing that 380 or whatever it's trying to be right there. Yeah, I don't really see anything too suspicious. Oh yeah, I know what it is, I think. 380 though, that's high. No, that's fine. That's fine. I think that's a form of a golden pocket right there going on, a smaller range one. But yeah, look at it that way. What else? What else do we do? This is not good for you. This is definitely evidence of convergence, divergence of the top of the channel. Your momentum is running down. This is very indicative of downwards pressure, like super indicative. You might have some form of retest similar to this right there, but this is bearish. This is very bearish. In fact, it seems, yeah, well, was that? No, yeah, no, that's not that marking. That is a whole different marking. Right. That is actually, it plays along neatly with this. I probably deleted the rest of it, but so, yeah, it appears to be that this is very much indicative of 328, 350 in the near-term future. Maybe the top of 350, and only then penetration in if conditions will allow, maybe retest higher, but currently it appears to be that the market is aiming towards that direction. Okay, that is what appears to be the market is aiming at the moment, at least on the weekly, monthly. Monthly is bullish at face value, but since it appears to be that, well, you know, they're about to overturn in a second, which makes sense, the loss of all of this will print somehow, and so yeah, that is. And if next month, if going into next month, right before that, we're gonna have some of that bearish momentum print. So what will happen is that this will converge, giving you acceleration of bearish momentum, confirming the acceleration into 328. So 328 is, I would argue, inbound. Maybe I should make a video. And I would argue that it all kind of makes sense because you have a very decent range of supports and resistances there, right? Exactly 3 of them, as we like to see. Basically a perfectly neat, healthy channel like that. You can see, right, that 350 and 328. Then moving into that area, we have the junction of all 3 forces, basically. So I'm not going to be all that surprised if the plan is right now for the market to head towards this area and then to see what's up. Of course, this is the marking. Like I said, the market could drop first downwards and then proceed for months on end within this range, up, down, making everybody nauseous, and then conclude what's up, whether it's going to go up or down afterwards. But it appears to be like it's aiming right now towards this area, even if at a later or earlier stage, but that's the vicinity. Maybe I should have just done something like that. That would have made a lot more sense, right? Cool. That is where we're going towards. Again, a couple of scenarios how it can play out. What's up, Mamba? What's up? Okay, I'm a little bit all over the place. 3 months doesn't change. It didn't change that much. Yeah, of course, retest still below, so could be very much indicative of all that bearish momentum that we said. Nothing really changed about that. We're still very, very bearish, although barely. And here you don't have data. So cool beans. Plus we'll readjust soon. So Tesla in a couple next days is bearish. I'm confused before the 4-hour and the daytime frame signals. The 4-hour, okay. What is confusing you? Again, this is bearish at face value. It's bullish temporarily, meaning relief rally. Here it is. You can see it, right? You can see it went all the way down, right? Now you're having a bit of a correction. That's normal. Within the framework of things, we understand it can work its way, like we said, neatly towards that area. That's going to be completely normal, and only then continue a correction, which we then see confirmation for it on the larger time frame. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. I can re-explain it later in the Discord, or tomorrow, but this is rather simple. Really, it is. Remember, this average sees the pre and post market, and so it creates a completely different structure and different average. So subsequently, it might show you different type of behavior, and the daily does tend to be a little bit more overarching. So it's not all that surprising that within the framework of the 4-hour we can correct, the daily will retest, and then a continuation of a breakdown that we see on the larger time frames. Okay, I do need to tend to the other assets, so I'm not gonna be far behind. Howdy, Casey. That'll change. Yeah, we answered that one. WBA, just to not have only the usual suspects. All right, that's cool. That's cool. I respect that. Let's do something that is not the usual suspects. Here, let's go here. Let's just so we're gonna have it neatly. You said, sir, WBA, right? Right. Let's see something that is not the usual suspects. I updated some of the tickers on the Discord today, by the way, so you can see some of the pictures and draw your own conclusions. But it's fairly obvious what I'm pointing out in these pictures. This is also very clear that we are moving alongside this channel. Basically, if you will, the median is the king of all things. In this instance, it's just that the price action sort of playing its thing and opening up with the trend structure. Now, wow. What? Why so gloomy? Why so gloomy? Then again, because it's so gloomy. Christoph, you might have found here something that is actually potentially, at least temporarily, will have an upwards movement. It does not seem to be perfectly correlated with the market. In fact, I would argue somewhat independent. That's very interesting. I mean, somewhat, right? Not perfect, but somewhat. And given the channel that we do see, given the channels that we see on the higher time frames, we're looking the monthly, the 3 months here. Come on, all this stuff. We definitely see that the price action and this channel definitely is being highly respected. We can see it throughout history here. I just wanted to make sure before I say anything. Works out perfectly, and so this channel is highly respected. In fact, it was retested recently right here. And so yeah, I'm not going to be absolutely at all surprised that if at least as a bare minimum, which is actually what, like you're going to be what, tripling your money? You're gonna, yeah, 3-timing your money. So yeah, that definitely can be very neat if you make it from that 11 range roughly towards that 30 range, 28, 30 range. You will be making a killing, and by doing that, you'll simply just be testing the lower end of things. And even if it's going to get worse over time, you're already going to be doing a killing with that, let alone a potential run up even further, because it might actually be the case. Too early to say, but it looks very bullish. I now realized that we will have to cut this meeting short because I have a Tom Zoom call in like literally 4 minutes, and I am an utter moron and I forgot, and you will have to forgive me because there's no freaking way in the world we'll be able to cover even half of the tickers you guys wrote. I am so sorry. The final thing I will say, definitely do join Patreon, and subsequently you then will be able to also join Discord, right? And you'll be able to hang out with us right here. I'm just going to show this real quick before I run away. You can join us right here on Discord, and right here in the open forum. I see you there, guys. Hello, what's up? And yeah, ask questions and whatnot, and actually go over the tickers, the various information I post there, get educated, learn a lot more stuff, discuss whatever you want with us, food, pizza, market, whatever you like, geopolitics, finance, technology, whatever you like. Pizza is best though. Definitely come in and discuss pizza with us. I love you all, boys and girls. I'm so sorry I have to run because we have a meeting coming up literally in like 3 minutes. And so, yeah, anything and everything other than that will be postponed to tomorrow. But remember what we said about the market. That's kind of what we're attentive to. The market can definitely still correct, but we do understand the limitations that are imposed on the market right now, and we'll see whether we're going to see a closure of the gap or whether the market will continue dropping further and maybe leaving this gap for later. Right now, I will bid you a nice evening, and I'll see some of you on the Zoom call on Tom's. I'm so sorry for cutting this short this time, but I have to. Love you all. See you on the next one.